Hello, can you
Yeah,
hear me? I
yeah.
hope.
Welcome, Michalis. Glad to have you
Thank
in
you.
Chennai. So we are all set. You can start speaking.
Let me share a few slides to begin with. I will go on through some notes and thoughts on how publishing embraces AI, a little bit of play with Nadim Sadek's book subtitle. Uh, First of all, let me say that I'm very glad to join you, to have this connection from Greece to Tamil Nadu and India. It is really a pleasure. This is a stellar team of speakers, a very important book. And also, I am really appreciating the work of Ailaysa, and I hope I pronounced it quite right for someone who is not a native speaker. So this is a bridge created through books and technology. For me, one first touch point, I have never been to Chennai, but the first touch point was the activity around the Chennai International Book Fair, which was really important in bringing all things to my attention, in what's going on in publishing in Tamil Nadu and also in technology. And then, of course, Ailaysa and their activities. I'm based in Athens, Greece. I work for a consulting technology and design company called Thinking. And I also work for the Limassol International Book Fair, where I create a professional program, which is in Cyprus, which is the second Greek-speaking country. Let me So it so happens that I have a guest with Nadim Sadek's book, Shimmer, Don't Shake, in a number of occasions. And also I'm very happy that such a book on AI in publishing fosters more connections and also more experimentation, in this case for translation. My first touch point was the English edition via Kindle, and then through the management of rights by Men's Publishing, I also happened to have come around the Arabic edition published by Al Arabi in Cairo by my good friends Tanya Bakr and Serif Bakr, Tanya Bakr and Serif Bakr. And more closely to home, I was present when in Greece, in Thessaloniki Book Fair, the Greek edition was published by Castagnotis Editions, which was done, the first one who was done with Ailaysa's adaptive AI translation technology. So I had the chance to read this book both in English and in Greek. And also now we have the Tamil edition, again with his Ailaysa's innovative and experimental also technology. So I will speak mostly from the background of how I see AI being integrated into publishing. I see it through my attending and speaking at international book fairs and publishers conferences. And also, of course, closer to what Ailaysa does and what the book has to tell us. So it is beyond any doubt that AI today is very prominently present at every professional program, at book fairs, and at every publishers conference. And every such event, I have to say, it is well attended and very engaging in the sense that people do have to share a lot of their experiences, and they want to ask also questions and learn more. Book fairs are very important in that respect because they send the new trends. It is where new trends go mainstream and where attitudes are formed. Particularly, I remember Frankfurt Book Fair 2023, where many other, of course, talks and so on have happened before on AI in publishing. But it was a turning point in the sense that the publishing sector really started to be more deeply involved with AI. That said, and I have to acknowledge its limitation. We know, I mean, in the West, in the wider West, we know very few things about what is going on in AI in publishing from India or China. And I'm glad that Ailaysa and Tamil Nadu in this case is an exception to this lack of knowledge and information that we have. So let me go to the main topic and say that for me, there is a number of types of AI tools used in publishing. There is a kind of scale for more simple and generic, let's say, uses to much more sophisticated and integrated ones. So many publishers still rely on generic AI chatbots like ChatGPT and Claude and so on, Gemini also. Or they use AI tools that are integrated into their generic apps, either it is for graphics or for PDFs and so on. But we have a step-by-step, let's say, second level in the scale of using AI tools, who has to do with specialized AI tools who are really built for publishers. And of course, they rely on foundation models as we know them. And also, there is some experimentation, I think not much yet, with agentic AI. So giving a task to an AI agent without specifying the steps. But even more than that, a next level, a third level, let's say, of this scale is custom integrations for publishers, custom integrations of AI foundation models or AI tools. And very interesting for me, also, this independently, but sometimes in combination, this has also to do with using and mining one's own proprietary content. This is very interesting for publishers because you want to produce something that is based and has the quality of your previous work. You want it to be copyrightable. And also, you want to keep it. I mean, Richard Sarkin spoke a lot about copyright, which is really important. Keep it, not to train somebody else's LLM. But apart from the scale, there is also a difference of scope, of adoption, of attitudes. So let's say there is there are the two extremes. People still are wondering, I see that in smaller markets and smaller publishers, of what really is AI or Gen AI and so on. This is still true because, I mean, the reality is that publishing is not very into tech. Also, there are other people who are kind of aware, but still, I mean, they are in a way in a denial. They don't want to use AI. They don't want to engage with AI because of copyright, cultural, and labor concerns. Copyright was mentioned. Cultural has to do mostly that creative work should be done only by humans, and labor has to do with fees and costs and so on. But I mean, between these two, let's say, extremes, in a way, there is a lot of first level work done, like personal and experimental use, mostly with generic AI tools and so on, which may lead to a next level, which is occasional and some pilot adoption through pilot projects. But I think what is much more important for publishing is the next two steps. First, not to have just some kind of experimentation or more ad hoc adoption, but to have systematic integration in a workflow to really use it in a consistent way, also by people in your company or in your publishing house who are not necessarily familiar with the tech and what's going on. And beyond that, to really explore new business models, new things you can do because you are adopting AI. So systematic integration could be mostly about limiting the time, the cost of the work we have to do, but there are much more to that. Coming a bit closer to Ailaysa, it is interesting, and I actually had this discussion at a book festival in Greece in the morning. About AI and translation, sometimes there is a lot of confusion, in my view, in the publishing world. It's like every book is, fiction or literary fiction, or even, I don't know, poetry and so on. And but the truth is there are some different kinds of books, different genres, who maybe AI translation, AI-assisted translation, it's much more ready to really help us. And also, there are many kinds of books in many languages which are not translated enough. So in my understanding, AI translation obviously needs a human involved, but it is great already in many languages for a first pass translation, for a draft translation, maybe for something like in rights. I mean, if you want to have a draft translation to sell or buy a book, this is probably more and more people doing it. And also for, let's say, translation on demand, books that you as a reader or as a publisher want to translate it without this leading to publishing. Also, for me, AI assisted translation is important for exploring books not translated yet. There are many rare language pairs in translation. I suppose, for example, and few translators in some cases, like I suppose would be for Greek to Tamil or Tamil to Greek. And in any case, there are many books that otherwise will not be translated. My first job in publishing, something like 20 years ago, was actually copy editing and proofreading. So I know for a fact that yes, maybe AI translation needs considerable editing, but this is also true for most of the translations produced by humans. So it's not that humans are perfect in any way. The good thing is also that an AI assisted translation for books may need less copy editing, as there are, of course, no typos like humans do, or spelling mistakes, and so on. On a second topic, again related with ChaiReader, another field of activity for Ailaysa, I think there is huge potential, and I'm really fascinated about reading and AI. I believe that creates new modalities for reading, a new way of reading, let's say, which is unlike what we know with skimming, scanning, or in print or digital. And it is different also from search or from the very traditional indices in print. So this is sometimes called interactive reading. I think Centenary Nathan he's very right and very correct to call them chat books. But one way or another, it is a form of chatting with a book or even a number of books. So it is really something different from reading a book cover to cover. And I see that this is a broader trend, both in trade, academic, and educational publishing. Many academic publishers, almost all the major academic publishers, and some of the software for reading academic books has this kind of idea that we create, let's say, summaries, recaps, or we do some kind of textual analysis, we have a companion, or we use the content to create the educational material, and so on. So this for me is really fascinating, and it can even lead to customizing books by AI. So how the reader can even go back and not just passively read, but even, let's say, do something with the book. Altering the story or the characters. My very personal example has to do with this is that a case where actually I read with the help of AI a book in German, though I don't speak German, which is interesting. It was about an event happening in Greece, in Thessaloniki Book Fair, with Professor Gerhard Lauer from Mainz University in Germany. His book hasn't been translated to English or Greek. And this is a nice case because it combined AI reading with the help of AI, and AI translation. So this wasn't translated, as I said, in my language or in English. What I did, how I should engage with this book, how should I read it in a new way, so to be ready for my panel. So what I did is, of course, using the PDF, let's say with the right prompts, of course, I had a good extensive AI summary by a chatbot. And also as a sample, let's say, and knowing the limitations of this, and I did an AI translation of the introduction and the key chapter. So for me, this is very, of course, using a generic AI chatbot, but this is a nice case because it gave me access to a book, to material. I wasn't, I mean, in any other way, it won't be possible to do it. And yes, of course, you could translate, I mean, a PDF before, but I think especially the idea of summary and chatting or asking the book something, even if it is in another language, it is really exciting. And this was just with a generic chatbot. So if it is something really custom or specialized, it will be, I suppose, even more, even better. So this is a case, a reference also for me to the ChaiReader developed by Ailaysa. Now, of course, and Richard Tarkin talked a lot about it, there are huge copyright concerns. There is a clash happening right now with big technology, big companies in the US and Europe. US, I would say, and probably the UK, the situation is worse for publishers, honestly. But Europe too, it's not far behind, actually. But my main point here is that, yes, I mean, copyright is the bedrock of this industry. The industry, in a way, as we know it, is the Statute of One, 1710, where the first copyright was established. But it is also important to stress that these very valid concerns about copyright should not be an excuse for publishers and book professionals not to adopt AI. It is also for me interesting that the book content, no, it wasn't used in a legitimate way, but still it was the book content that was critical part of training LLMs. And also that the book content is critical also not after the initial training of these LLMs. It is critical for quality, updated information, and also references. So that's something we need as more and more as LLMs progress. That said, of course, I mean, at least that's my European experience. Governments and I invest a lot in data centers and software and so on. But in a way, I mean, the guys who produce the chip get paid and so on. But I think that the content providers, the content creators, the content owners should be paid too. This has to do with regulation, obviously, but the publishing, and that's what about, it's also important, it was stressed before, and also licensing. So we have to find new ways to really get, remunerated for this content. And this is important both financially and legally. It is a way to, safeguard that this content is actually can be used only under some kind of licensing agreement. I would like to, wrap this up with a quote from Nadim Sadek's book, which launched today. Nadim says that human creativity remains irreplaceable, with AI ideally amplifying, not supplanting, authorial imagination. Ultimately, publishing historically succeeds by adapting technological change while preserving creativity. AI is the next wave publishers can ride through evolution, not resistance. And I really believe myself too, echoing in that respect what Richard Tarkin just said before, that adapting to technological change is very important, very substantial for publishing. In a way, this industry has been always an industry about technological change, very close to it. I mentioned the one bedrock, which was the legal part, the statute of One for copyright, but of course, the first bedrock was Gutenberg, and many, many things have happened in print, even before we reached to the digital world, and the publishing has adapted, and I believe it will be done soon. And on a final note, I have to say that what we need it is to learn more and more about people, let's say, outside the bubble, our European or Western bubble do in publishing and technology. This is more and more critical. And with these few notes and thoughts, I would like to thank you and wish you a very successful book launch.
Thank you, Michalis, for this insightful talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye from me. Goodbye from Athens.